wasn't mine. She never was.
Welcome to Land Back Lane. I'm Skyler Willams. We've been here since July 19th and are continuing to hold strong of our peaceful occupation of our lands, despite OPP violence being continued on Six Nations people who are, again, peacefully occupying our lands.
Bury that score.
We sided with the Brits in the revolution, and so because of the loss of land that we had in New York State, we were granted the Haldeman Tract, which was 6 miles on either side of the Grand River from the mouth to the source. And so it's a massive tract of land in southern Ontario. At the very start of the Canadian Lands Registry, people were being encouraged by the federal government at the time to take up homes and homestead along the tract. And so there was these massive land grants that were given to squatters. There were some valid leases that were made, and then a bunch of that money went into the Six Nations Lands Trust that was held by the federal government, that was used for the Grand River navigation, Osgoode Hall in Toronto, the Welland Canal. So massive infrastructure projects across the country, not just in Ontario, but across the country. All of these dollars that were spent of Six Nations dollars that were used to do all of these massive infrastructure projects, and none of that money ever came back to Six Nations. And I mean, when a quarter of the entire country lives in southern Ontario, this is a very lucrative tract of land that our community has never seen a dime for. And so for us to make a stand and say that this is Haudenosaunee territory, and you're not going to roll up massive 1,400 home development directly on the doorstep of our community.
It was crazy.
Like, there are processes within the government for reserves to be able to grow, the additions to reserve process, which has been in place for the last 30 years. And it has never worked for any community, and so not one reserve has ever gotten any bigger across the country. We need that opportunity to do that. And if you're going to roll up massive housing developments on the doorstep of our community, it hems us in. It puts aside our ability to be able to grow. And so for this to continue, that massive land thefts is infuriating for our people.
The Government of Canada sincerely apologizes and asks the forgiveness of the Aboriginal peoples of this country for failing them so profoundly. Today we find ourselves on a new path, working together toward a nation-to-nation relationship.
The federal government keeps talking about nation-to-nation relationships. We can't have nation-to-nation relationships, or certainly not negotiations, when we have the barrel of a gun of the OPP down there pointing those guns at our people. And so when this is the way that Canada and Ontario, certainly Haldeman County, is pressuring the OPP to settle land claims, is by jailing, putting under massive bail and release conditions, throwing people in jail, and this is not how you settle land claims.
I have often talked about the need for renewed nation-to-nation relationships with Indigenous peoples. At the same time, we recognize that true reconciliation goes beyond a list of action items. What is needed is a national strategy to advance long-term reconciliation. We're making this commitment because we believe that the best decisions and the best outcomes can only come about when we are fully engaged with all our Indigenous partners.
This certainly isn't what the nation-to-nation relationship that the federal government ran on, that seen Indigenous people across the country come out to vote for Justin Trudeau because of this nation-to-nation relationship building process and this truth and reconciliation. Without that truth of what it is that our people have been fighting for the last 300, 400 years, to remove squatters from our lands, to respect us as a nation unto ourselves. This is what we've been saying. And this is why this has happened here in Six Nations. Because we are a nation unto ourselves. When you come to Six Nations, you are coming to an entirely different country. And so for us, when we say no to development, certainly on the doorstep of our community, that needs to be respected.